to go and take care.
Folks, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's 7 o'clock. We're
They don't-
gonna get our work session going on here, and thank you all for being here tonight. So
Yeah, it's still.
agenda item number one, you're doing a roll call, right? No, really,
Yeah, roll call.
People that are here.
you'll make note of it.
Make note of
Okay. First one is the first item up today is a proposed food truck park in the city of Arnold. And Peggy's leaving. She's the one that's talk about
She's got a PowerPoint.
it. She's dangerous. You got it there, Dion? Actually took a field trip with Peggy here a little while back.
So the council was given this document from the Parks Department.
Can you please do it in the microphone there?
I'd rather not, but I will.
Well, if somebody wants to be able to hear you from home, then
Okay.
hear it.
Is that better?
Use the podium.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. Several months ago, the council was given this document from the Parks Department on ways that we perhaps could use the football field down by the Merrimack River across from the farmer's market. Well, in December, I was in Florida and I was taken to a permanent food truck park. And I got the wheels turning. I'm thinking, I think we can do something like this. So Dion helped me put together the slideshow for you all to see. And perhaps this is something that we can work into the budget, a feasibility study to see if this is something that would go over in Arnold. So.
Go the other way. There you go.
There we go. The first one we're going to look at is 9 Mile Garden. And probably, I know the mayor's been there. Maybe some of you have been there too. I have not. This is like an aerial view. And you can see over here on the right are the food trucks. They are not permanently there, but there's a permanent space for them. So as you see, we've got the food trucks way up at the top. There's parking. I've got to believe where they are in Afton that parking is still a problem, maybe not. In front of that is a stage and I believe a big screen TV. If we come around to the side, there are some kind of flat rocks that you can sit on. Plus in the middle is AstroTurf and there are also benches there. Over to the side is a bandstand and I'm thinking the last building here is probably the restrooms.
It is.
It is? Okay. Here's one of their events. I don't know what it is. It's very well attended. There's a shot, the friendly water fountain for the dogs that they bring. We also have one of those over at our dog park. There's a bandstand. And in the mornings, when of course you don't have food trucks or a lot of traffic, they have yoga. Okay, this next one is Frankie Martin's in Cottleville. A week ago, Sunday, the mayor, his wife, and me went out there to take a look at this place. So again, look on the right side, there is the food trucks. They are not permanent, but the concrete or asphalt is. And by the way, this is somehow connected to 9 Mile Garden. I can't find how it is, but we talked to one of the managers there a week ago Sunday, and she told us that there is a connection and you can see it's kind of laid out the same way.
It's different ownership, but the guy that put them together.
Is that what it was?
Same person.
Okay. Way back in the back, you see parking. Then in front of that, you see a bandstand. There's a couple of covered areas there. On the left is a building which they have a bar in and tables. And while we were there, there was a class there and the people were making doormats with stenciling. It really looked like fun. The building up here that's sort of pink was a
That's Frankie
bourbon.
Martin's old house.
Okay, but it's a bourbon bar, correct?
Yeah.
So that's sort of interesting. Bourbon's kind of the thing now. So before we went to leave, I said, I really need to go to the restroom. Now the restroom was way in the back. I came out and I said, Bill, you got to look at this. They have pickleball courts over on the right.
I saw,
Troy,
the
Troy
first thing I
Kazier's
saw-
actually perked up.
first thing I saw was those beautiful pickleball courts that Arnold doesn't have.
Everybody has them.
Okay.
Everybody has.
So there's again, the AstroTurf and the benches, and there are fire pits there.
Yep.
There's the band, and there are the pickleball courts. Okay, now, this last one is what gave me the idea. In December, I was at my daughter's in Florida, and she said, do you want to go to the food truck park? I said, well, sure I do. And I was just blown away. The one thing they have that we probably won't, you can get there by car or by boat. They have a marina. They're on a canal. So there's a layout. In the middle, they have a round bar that does serve liquor. There's just a shot of looking out at the river, the canal, the food truck park. You'll notice that those trucks do have tires on them, but those trucks are there for, I don't know how long they're leased or rented for, but they do not leave every night. There's another shot. Any questions?
What city was that again? The
Cape Coral, Florida, near
Coral?
Fort Myers.
Myers, yeah.
Any questions?
I do, Peggy. My concern about the food trucks are that we have how many restaurants and bars here in Arnold? These food trucks only come in one night a week, and let's just say they come in on a Friday night. And it's popular and it explodes. And all of our other restaurants are now, nobody's going to them on Friday nights. They're going to the place. So now the manager has to cut hours. People aren't making as much money. So what about the waiters and bartenders and
Well, what restaurants were you talking about? Because Troy, honestly, I have not heard that.
so if I went to all these restaurants and asked them, they would be okay with a food truck park? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just think that it takes away from the restaurants who have been committed to this community for a long time.
That's your opinion, and that's fine.
Right.
It's something to think about.
We're having a discussion.
Exactly.
Right. But that's just my thought would be is, you know, now we're getting into managers are having to cut hours, people aren't making their tips and food trucks are in here for one night and they're gone. Where these restaurants are here 7 days a week and they made a commitment to this community.
But you're right, they're only here for one night.
Right.
They have 6 other nights, the restaurants, but
Right.
it's something to consider.
Right. It's just this discussion.
But at the same time, those guys pay taxes here as well as anybody else would, so.
Okay.
And some of the food trucks are actually based here, so.
Okay.
Are the prices reasonable on these food trucks? I mean,
I-
I don't know. I've never been to any of these trucks. I
I mean, at 9 Mile Garden, I go up there probably once every other month or so, and it's not
Have
bad
they?
at all.
Have
Oh,
they?
yeah. Yeah, they have events up there, you know, it's all pet friendly, so we take our dog and go up there and listen to a band. So it's interesting.
Okay, so what I thought is, I would ask Dave to try to put this into the budget for this coming year. See if we can do a feasibility study, if this is something we really could do. 3 Mile Garden is on 3 acres. The football field is 13 acres. And I know it's in the floodplain, but anything that we put in there, we're gonna have to figure that out with the floodplain.
Drainage.
Again, another thing is the traffic in and out of there. I get it. It could be quagmire. But again, almost anything you put in there is going to cause traffic. Anything else? All righty.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Couple places are making these things work pretty well. A friend of mine's got one out in St. Charles now in Old Town. Okay, next item, MS4, James.
Yeah, this is just to kind of our 30-day public comment period before we can, it's one of the requirements through DNR to apply for our MS4 permit renewal. We'll be submitting a permit application to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. It has to be done.
James, can you speak into the mic a little bit, please?
Yeah. 5-year permit time. It expires in September and we have to have it submitted 180 days before expiration, which I believe is April 3rd. We're currently in the public comment period until the 24th. It was posted on the leader and on the city's website since February 20th, accepting comments and inviting the public to attend this meeting in person for public comments. So far, we haven't had any. Any comments from council up here?
No? No. How many times have we done this now? How long have we been participating in this?
I think since 2012.
Okay, thanks. And we qualify every time. Anybody have any questions for James? You guys all know what this is about, right?
Yeah, I just, one general, James, you don't foresee any issues or you don't have any concerns or,
No, we've been using the same consultant since 2012, and he said we should be able to just smooth coast right on through. So,
thank you.
I guess that's it, right? Okay, thanks so much. Okay, next one, unregulated gambling machine. Allison.
Thanks, Mayor. So I just wanted to make the council aware. So I wasn't sure what had happened with the unregulated gaming. These are those machines that are in the gas stations or the grocery stores. So there was a federal case and a jury came back finding them to be like gambling machines, which I don't know what the distinction was, to be honest with you, but there was a distinction at some point. So this jury came back, found that they were gambling in nature. Then they appealed to it's a federal court. So they did an appeal to the federal appellate court. And that judge also said that they're illegal. The next step for an appeal for torch would be the US Supreme Court because they're in federal court. And that is not an appeal of right. So the US Supreme Court decides if they'll hear your case or not. So I don't know, the US Supreme Court does not take a lot of cases every year just because they're busy. It's all 50 states. We would know relatively quickly if the US Supreme Court is going to hear that appeal. If they're not going to hear the appeal, then the appellate court's decision would be final. You may have seen St. Louis County came out and they said we're giving you all till March, or I think it's June 1st to remove these illegal gambling machines. And they came up with an enforcement mechanism in their ordinances, which said, if you don't remove them, we're going to pull your liquor license. Because most of these machines exist in places that have liquor licenses. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that they're currently illegal. And if at some point you want to pass an ordinance that gives you an enforcement mechanism to make sure they come out, we can do that like St. Louis County did. I would suggest that I think we only have 12 businesses that have machines. So I would suggest we probably send them a letter and say, you need to get rid of these because they're illegal. Or what I've seen a lot of people do in St. Louis County is unplug them. And then they're just sitting there still waiting to see what the final outcome is. Either way, they shouldn't have them up and running at this point. We don't have that many places, so we can probably police that to some extent ourselves. But if we have resistance, we could always pass some sort of enforcement mechanism if we wanted to. So that's my update. Any questions?
Brian.
Yeah, I got a question. So reading the 1 and 2 on your thing here, is this just kind of stems from TNT doesn't like the competition and they want to try and drive the business out of competition? So let's just say that they're a gambling machine and get the courts to.
Are you referring to this document?
Yeah.
This came from Torch, I believe. And so I think that's probably the narrative, the voice in which they wanted it to be read. I don't know. I think that what the distinction was is that the game told you that the next spin was going to be a loser.
Whether it's a game of chance.
Right. Whether it's a game of chance or a game of skill. And I think that's what the distinction was. And then the court said that's, I guess, for lack of a better term, a distinction without a difference. It's all gambling. And so I don't know if that's why. I think, in my opinion,
Just what it reads to me is they don't like them infringing or, having competition because they're they're accusing them of unfair competition.
Right.
I mean, I'm like you, to me, I think it's they're all drawing the finest line I've ever seen in my entire life. Calling them non-gambling machines to me is a joke anyway, but it is what it is. Missouri says they're not, on the ones that we got, so I'm fine with it. But
And now they say they are.
Yeah.
And so, which is kind of what.
right, it just seems like to me they are, just because, somebody knows what the next one's coming up. They're still betting on that next one they
Right,
can
they're
win.
betting
To
on-
me, it's just,
Spins from now.
Yeah.
Right? Because this one's going to be a loser, but the
Right.
next one might be a winner.
so you're still gambling, you're still betting on that they're, preying on the people that have a problem with the gambling. So to me, it was always kind of a thing anyway. And to me, it just seems like I think we should allow them to go in until the final court is decided, because I think they're all in the same boat anyway. It just looks to me like it's somebody that don't like the competition and they're trying to get rid of their competition. Just my opinion.
Do I understand correctly? You guys are with Torch? You got something to say to help us out with the understanding of this? Please, just use the mic, just state your name and address for the record.
Absolutely.
Bill, I'm sorry, can I ask a clarifying question before?
Of course.
Chair, so this was a federal judgment,
Yes.
but the state of Missouri is following along with that federal judgment?
So
And maybe you'll answer that, but I just wanted to clarify.
this was a federal case. And so the question was a question of federal law. It also can be jurisdictional. I'm not sure what the basis is that landed them in federal court, but federal court can interpret Missouri Constitution if the jurisdiction is based on a conflict of jurisdiction where your machines and your people may be in different places.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Sorry.
Please
Oh,
go
oh,
ahead.
I appreciate it. My name is Matt Crecilius. You want my address?
Please.
Okay, 16286 Lee Oak in Chesterfield. I work for Torch Electronics. Just a couple of clarifying points first. Part of your assessment is correct, Mr. MacArthur. This was a federal civil case brought by TNT Amusements. It had to do with fair competition, as the memo states in there. That case has not been appealed yet. The appeal has been requested because the case is not even closed yet. The initial civil case has not even been rested yet. So there is no appeal court ruling. There is no appeal to the Supreme Court. This is still in the original federal civil court. And part of that, the jury did not find that the games were illegal. The jury found that there were a couple of pieces of advertisement that Torch released 7 or 8 years ago that they thought were misleading. So that was where the civil jury ruled on. On top of that, the civil judge then wrote this opinion that he thinks that these our games are illegal based on Missouri criminal law. So there's more problems with that, and some of that's also addressed in the memo from Stinson. Excuse me. So the current status is there is a civil jury ruling based on the advertising part of the lawsuit. There is a civil judge opinion that the games are illegal. The appeal has been requested, but because that case isn't currently closed, it's a different process than if the case was closed and you could just straight appeal it to the appellate court. So we have to allow that court to run case to run its course. So currently, all we would ask is that we wait for a ruling. We don't have a final ruling. This is not settled case law. This case is not closed. This case has not been, the appeal has not run its course. So all we have right now is a federal civil judge's opinion about Missouri criminal law. There's two different, as is laid out in the memo, you're talking about two different levels of evidence that you have to meet. And that's the biggest problem with a civil ruling applying to criminal law. Does that make sense?
Well, that's what we got her here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I understand the difference between a criminal ruling and a civil ruling. For us, if a civil court says something shouldn't exist, we don't need a criminal judgment to determine that. I'm also not sure with a criminal case that they would be able to prosecute the corporation without showing a number of things, such as that like an individual family owned that corporation, because a corporation can't go to jail. So you have to find individuals. So I'm not sure that there would ever be a criminal case that would be relevant to our purposes for zoning or licensing. Like that probably isn't going to affect us, the criminal portion.
Yeah, well, the criminal portion is if it got to the point where, the Jefferson County prosecutor wanted to bring a criminal case against the owner of the company.
And that's not me, by the way. It's the county prosecutor.
Yeah, that'd be the county prosecutor. Then they would still have to meet the elements of the crime and it'd have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is when you would determine that the games were illegal.
Well,
We
we may just have a different opinion about that. And I don't want to go down a path of like debating legal theory or rules, because
Yeah,
if
so-
a civil court says you can't have these gaming machines, we're going to stop the analysis there.
Well, that's the part that case is not even closed yet. So there is no case law. I mean, normally you would base a decision like this on case law, right?
But I think we've said we're going to let things stay the way they are until we get a final ruling.
Mhm. And that's really all, we're asking, you guys just passed the ordinance a little more than a year ago. I'm pretty sure we're in
Just under a year ago.
compliance with everything. So that's kind of where we're at now. So there is, the appeal hasn't been filed, and that was kind of the only issue I wanted to correct.
Is it a Western District case that was also decided?
No,
Torch doesn't have any litigation on the Western District in state court?
No.
Okay.
no, the only, there has been one case in the history of Missouri for slot machines. That was in Platte County, and those weren't our games.
Okay.
Our games work differently.
Okay.
Which is why we're compliant with your unregulated gaming ordinance, because that's how it all fits
And
together.
can you explain what that distinction was?
For how our games work? Yes,
Versus the other.
Yeah, I just don't, I legitimately don't know what it is other than
sure.
what we described here, so I'd like to know.
Sure, and this is where a lot of the confusion comes in, because there are other games out there that are everywhere, and they are illegal slot machines. So a slot machine runs on a random number generator. All slot machines do, whether you're in a casino or outside the casino where they shouldn't be. Some of those slot machines will have prize viewers on them. You can hit the prize viewer and it'll tell you what the next play is going to be. The problem is those slot machines still run a random number sequence, so they still have an element of chance. So they still fit the three-part test of Missouri state law: money in, money out, element of chance. That makes sense? So when you do, they run two random sequences. The first one for that play, and they run a second one in case you hit the prize viewer. Our games do not have a random number generator. We've eliminated the element of chance. There is the prize viewer, that's part of it. But the meat of it is that it's a set script of responses that happens in the same order every time. And when you get to the end of that script, it starts back over. And all of our games, as soon as they leave the manufacturer, they're certified by a third party. And that's where we have the proof that this is how they work. We're not able to touch that. We're not able to get into that. That's part of the code in the computer software. So as there's no ability to manipulate any of that after it leaves the manufacturer.
So I'm going to ask a question. So let's say there's 100 spins or whatever it is that's caused. In that sequence of 100, the same number of wins will occur every time that 100 game sequence repeats.
Not only wins, but in the exact same order. It will be the exact same.
How many sequences, how many spins are there in the sequence?
Depends on the game, but it's a few thousand. And
Okay.
it's basically set up to be a certain, like the certain percentage of wins every time, or back to the, it's like a 92% or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but it's set up to be a for-profit.
Huh.
Obviously, it's a business, right? So in that sequence of plays, it happens in the same order every time, and the responses are exactly the same every time.
That's the difference. So
That's why, now, kind of get into, I'm sorry, real quick, but get into what you guys were discussing before. Like, oh, well, it's still, you're taking a chance on the next one. So Missouri law is very specifically written. A lot of people say, oh, it's a gray area, it's a gray area. I think it's pretty black and white, right? Missouri law is not written from the perspective of the player. It's written from the perspective of how the game works. And so it's money in, money out, element of chance. Some states actually write it as the perspective of the player. Now, is the player taking a chance? I don't know. I'm not in the player's mind, right? Does the player know what the second, third, fourth, and fifth response is going to be? I don't know. Maybe they sat there and for a long time and they actually do know. Because if you sit there long enough, you probably could figure it out. Because it happens in the same order every time, and all it does is repeat itself. Yes, sir?
So another clarifying question. If I walk up to one of your machines, it's gonna tell me if I'm gonna win or lose.
Before you hit play,
Before I put a dollar bill in.
before you put
Mine.
money in, before you hit play, before anything.
I know what's gonna happen to my money right then and there.
Yes,
And that's where you're saying yours is different.
yes. And that is also, that play is also predetermined. On the other ones, even if they have the prize viewer and you can do the same thing, that response is generated randomly.
Understand? Thank you.
So, we got a case?
Gary?
Question,
Yes, sir.
what does the player get out of your machine if he wins?
A ticket. You take that ticket over to the kiosk, he scans it, and they receive money.
So, in essence, if he doesn't win, he loses, he don't get the ticket, correct? He don't get anything out of the machine, other than to try and play again to see if he wins, right?
Yeah, it's an entertainment device. So it'd be the same way you would get out of a pinball machine or a Pac-Man.
I mean, I'm just saying, people can look at it two forms. He's gambling, betting, anyway, he's putting money in the machine to hope to win something.
It's like a claw machine.
Yeah, I mean, same as the slot machine, you put the quarter in and pull the lever and you hope you get change back.
Except that the element of chance has been removed because the response is already determined.
There's more chances maybe. I'm not gonna argue that
Yeah.
point, but
So I think that the interesting thing that he said is that
Keep somebody
the perspective from which the law is written. So their argument is that because the manufacturer knows the sequence of events, that takes the chance out of it.
We can bring in a game.
I don't think that any of us really we were fine with the games. We're just gonna follow the law. So if the civil court says these need to go, we're not gonna not get rid of them.
Yeah.
If the civil court says they can stay, then we'll continue to collect our business license fee and
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
people will
basically
gamble.
Yeah, basically
Or not
one,
gamble.
one civil judge has written an opinion, and whether we're able to appeal that while that section of the case is still open, or we have to wait until that part of the case is closed before we can appeal it. Either way, it's going to be appealed. So it's not going to be any type of settled case law for a while.
How long has this case been going on?
2 years, I believe.
2 years?
You guys have anything else?
I have a interesting thing on Fox News that our Attorney General, the state, she's ready to take them out, up to the legislation to how it reads out to take them out. And then our governor, he's weighing the issue kind of like we are, to let them go, stay until they figure out which way it goes.
Right. So the legislator could change the law. They could write it from a different perspective. That could cause some additional questions about, it was legal before, now it's not illegal, which games have to go. But yeah, a legislative change would make the court case more moot, I would suspect.
Yes, and there's been attempts in the past to change the law to make our games illegal, which is kind of more evidence that they are legal. If you have to change the law to make something illegal, then it's already legal.
Interesting.
And then there's also a bill, it's passed the House and it's in the Senate right now, to regulate the whole state. It's a VLT bill, video lottery terminals. There's there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation. Our games are not currently video lottery terminals. Those are slot machines. If that bill would pass, we would have to pull all of our games out and put PLTs in.
We have your contact information?
I do.
Yes.
In case we have questions?
Yep, work together.
All right, Mr. Crecilius, thanks for coming up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for coming tonight. One more thing, purchasing threshold. Anthony, Bill, you guys have something you can share on that one?
Yeah, we've, since I've been here, we have, 4 categories of purchasing authorization. And, pretty much anything below 300 right now, anybody can go buy. And then it starts to move up this scale. And once it gets to 300 to 1,000, they, have to enter it in the system and get a pre-authorization or a purchase order request, which goes through some approval steps. And then if it goes up above 1,000 to 3,000, it's 3 verbal quotes are required. So it's a little more competitive, a little more scrutinous. And then it goes from 3,000 to almost 10,000, 9,999. And we're looking for 3 written quotes at that time. So again, the scrutiny level goes up. And then once it gets above 10,000, it's a formal sealed bid process, which we've all probably seen those before. And I think after Anthony and Veronica researched this, how long has this been, this scale? As far back as we can tell?
Yes, as far back as we can tell.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the early 2000s conceivably.
Oh, you're saying this is outdated?
Yeah, I mean, obviously prices have gone up quite a bit, and James could probably speak the best to it because his department buys a lot of smaller things. And, you know, those are the workers and they're the ones having to go buy this stuff. And the more they're taking time to do this, the less they're actually doing the work.
And or waiting for the PO process.
Yeah,
Waiting
that-
For the
okay.
PO approval.
Yeah.
It's not just.
Needless
the-
delay.
There's a delay and then, a lot of the items that used to be $8,000, $9,000 now have crept over 10. It just bogs the process down. This would streamline it. We looked at going even higher, but we figured we'd walk before we ran and then be able to possibly come back a year, 2, 3 years from now after we analyze this. But just the lower level threshold will save us about 33% of the POs, 33% of the purchases. Basically going from the low end of currently at 300 up to 800. That'll save us about a third of all the POs we do. And then we didn't do a deep dive into 12.5, the 12.5 up from the top end of 10,000 right now, but we have to advertise those in the paper. We have to get sealed bids. That can obviously, that can slow down a purchase several weeks in some cases. Then we obviously have to bring that to the council as well. So we have to find it with our meeting schedule. So the 12.5 is something we may actually bring up to about 15. You'll notice a lot of cities are 15, 20, 25. So we'd still be on the low end, but we figured, like we said, request a somewhat modest increase throughout each threshold, analyze that, see how it goes, potentially come back in a year or 2 in the future. But we figure at this point, it's been so darn long since we've raised these. They really need to be done for most likely from a streamlining perspective for all purchases.
Yeah, and the resource demand isn't just the purchaser.
Yeah.
It's everybody else that has to get involved in that one purchase. So it ripples through when you have to have approval processes. And then Veronica, the person that does the accounts payable, gets super
Oh,
bogged
we're
down.
gonna need them by the ordinance.
We did,
Yeah.
Veronica got feedback from 6 or 7 different cities, I think it was, but just to give you an idea, if you go across on the grid that you're looking at in front of you, our current, you know, that first category where it says 300 to 999, I'm going to read off Clayton for each of these. They're currently at 1,000. The next category, they're at 5,000 to 9,999. The next category, they're at 10,000 to 24,999. And then their last category is they're above 25,000. Eureka, they're 1,000 to 5,000 in that first category. They skip the second category and then they go to 5,000, 10,000. to 10,000. And then that last category, they go 10,000 to 50,000. So, you know, we're not just like making up recommendations. We looked at what other cities are doing and we're significantly behind where we could be.
And the mayor asked, this will be an ordinance. This will be on the next council meeting. We just wanted to make sure there were no questions, comments, or concerns before we put it on the agenda.
What are some of the types of purchases that you're talking about?
It could be
For
everything.
example, I mean, a big purchase, for example.
You're sitting on one. We just had all the chairs replaced a couple of years back,
Yeah, so there's,
about $10,000 sitting there.
yeah, so we buy goods, but we also buy services too.
Okay.
And over in James's area, they're buying a lot of equipment for
I'm
their,
referring to services, basically. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have specified that.
well, whenever we do like, you're doing the
Microsoft,
Woodridge project, you know, that's a service where they're doing that extraneous, yeah,
Microsoft, our.
Microsoft, right, yeah.
For email, the company that is, watches our, you know, spam or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, I think we have about 250 total employees, of which a lot of them are in the police department. So if you back away from that, we don't have near enough hands or particular talents to do everything that the city needs to do, because it's
Like,
You
for
know-
example, in the wintertime, salt.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, or the tree trimming.
Yeah, tree trimming.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Those values are low. We need to raise them, no doubt.
Uh,
Yeah, I think we're long past it.
Stay tuned because it looks like we'll see this at the next city council meeting next week. Guys,
Put it on.
anything else this evening?
Sir.
All right, I'd like to bring this meeting to a close then. Thank you all for showing up or thank you all for coming tonight.